you. It's on this program that you get intimated with the activities of the Distance Learning Center, and of course you get informed about all you need to know concerning the Distance Learning Center of the University of Ibadan. Dr. Amusu and Priska Bamba are here and they're set to bring you another edition of the program. Come along.
Diamond 101.1 FM. On UI Radio. Diamond 101.1 FM.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of DLC and You on Diamond 101.1 FM, the station that promotes values and excellence. It's our pleasure to have you on today's edition of this program. And if you're listening for the very first time, this program is a program that is sponsored by the management of the Distance Learning Center, University of Ibadan. And through this medium, they communicate with their students out there, both those who are returning students and our prospective students, to give them information on issues that abound as regards the DLC. My name is Priska Abamba. I'm not alone as usual. I have my co-anchor with me.
I also welcome you on board on the program DLC and You today. And last week we filled you in as regards admission process going on right now. And remember, the advert is still up and out there, so you can go get a form, pick up a form and be a student of the University of Ibadan under the distance learning mode. We actually dwelt on that last week, as well as we had the academic, two academic advisors right here last week to talk about courses. And even for those who are looking forward to being a student, we also discussed at length some of the courses that are offered under the distance learning mode. I also welcome you right here once again. The name is Adedotun Amosun, and right about now, let us tell you that we have a great man in the studio
with us. Yes, we have a guest in the studio this morning, and we will be having two guests today on the program. Remember, if you were with us last week, we had two guests in the studio, two academic advisors, and we're here to enlighten the students as to different platforms that they can make use of to get across to their academic advisors for educational assistance, which is their main duty. But today we have two guests again, but this time around not academic advisors. We have the Deputy Registrar, the immediate past Deputy Registrar of the Distance Learning Center, University of Ibadan, in person of Mr. A.A. Oladeji.
All right, until the 30th of June, it was the Deputy Registrar, the Distance Learning Center of the University of Ibadan. But today, as we speak, today being the 9th day in the month of June, in the month of July rather, on the first day in the month of July this year, he turned the Deputy Registrar the postgraduate school. And like Priska said, we have with us right now the immediate past Deputy Registrar of the Distance Learning Center of the University of Ibadan, in person of Mr. A.A. Oladeji. You're welcome on the program this morning, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here again. I remember I was here a couple of months ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We could remember that as well. And the last time you came, we were actually looking forward to having you like this, not knowing fully well that you'd have been moved. But, well, we hope that will be another green land with great things there. But, sir, let us look at the past. Let's look into the past. The last time you came, we actually discussed about you, how you moved in your career, you moved on to get into the height you are right now. But sir, the past 2 years in the Distance Learning Center of the University of Ibadan, how has it been? How has it affected you, perhaps positively, or if perchance we have in any negative form you could feel, if there are, what can you say? 2 years as a Deputy Registrar, DLC.
Thank you very much, moderator. I must say that I don't have any reason to regret my being in the Distance Learning Center for the past 2 years. As a matter of fact, I assumed duty in the Distance Learning Center unofficially on the 1st of May 2012. That day happened to be a Sunday, and usually 1st of May is Workers' Day, which is supposed to be a public holiday. But immediately, the director of the Distance Learning Center knew that I would be the one that will take over there as Deputy Registrar. He got in touch with me personally that he will make a special request that I should please be around on that day, because it happened to be a time when the National Universities Commission were visiting the Distance Learning Center for a revalidation exercise. And he wanted, he didn't want to present a situation of not having somebody in the administrative, as the administrative head of that place, so to say, like in the registry. So they were to have a meeting where they would probably introduce officials of the center, and it was necessary for the deputy registrars to be shown to them, because the NUC will not understand it, that, well, the vacuum had been created because somebody had moved. So I got there on that first, and I'm not confessed, however, that when I got there, it happened, it was a kind of a strange environment to me. Strange in the sense that all along I had been used, to working in the central administrative setup, whether in the personnel division or the establishment division, the general administration, and so on and so forth. But now working in a unit that is not, as it were, in the on the main campus. It was a bit strange, In fact, the first day I had to move out from home to that place where the center is. I felt one kind, but within a week I got used to it, and I knew that even before I got there, that the major thing that would help me to be able to make my mark there and to be able to flow with what they were doing was for me, to be there in terms of this IT, information technology thing. And I thank God that the little that God gave me the knowledge to be able to acquire, I was able to make use of it, and that helped me, in fact, to really settle down. Because immediately I got there, I was given, some facilities which would help me to flow with what they were doing. And within a short time, I was able to mobilize, the staff, because when a person moves to a new terrain, suddenly he will bring certain things. He will meet some settings, and then he will bring his own. I was able to study the situation on ground, particularly the administrative setup, and I proposed some suggestions, in forms of restructuring and so on and so forth. We were able to move one staff here, another one there, and so on and so forth, to see how things will flow, and to God be the glory, we were able to make a little bit of headway, which signified a kind of an improvement over the situation before. And I have to say here that I want to thank God for the director the center has. It's somebody that thinks DLC 24/7, 24/7. If he wakes up, he will be thinking of how will this distance learning center program improve. He doesn't have a particular time schedule as to this is the time I have for myself, this is the time I have for DLC. All the time he's working on things that will move the DLC forward. And if an idea comes into his mind, he gets in touch with those that are nearest to him. And the people that are nearest to him this time are those people that I will call the management staff. Because the setup of that place when I got there was that there was a management setting which comprised the director, the two deputy directors, deputy director administration, and then deputy director academics, then the deputy registrar, the finance officer, the resident auditor, and we will have an officer in charge of communication issues, information generally, communications officer, then somebody is in charge of the programs of the center. That person stands like maybe somebody like that you can call the academic officer, more or less, program academic and academic officer. And there's some other stuff like that. All these are the ones that the director will easily summon or send messages to, maybe on phone or email. And then, everybody will bring in his or her ideas. So this is the way that, we've been relating. And it was very helpful. It was a very, very helpful device, because even if somebody wasn't on duty in the sense of being in the office at a particular time, wherever that person was, he or she will get that message, and he will be able to chip in his little contribution, as to the issue that was brought up. Right. So I enjoyed my time there, to be frank.
Wonderful. All right, if you're just joining us, the program is DLC and you on Diamond 101.1 FM, and we want to use this opportunity to tell you that you can also listen to us live on the website, which is www.dlc.ui.edu.ng/DLC and you. www.dlc.ui.edu.ng/DLC and you. And if in case you want to tell someone about it, the dial is 101.1, that's Diamond FM, and we have with us the Deputy Registrar. So far you've talked about the enjoyment, the reshuffling, and the redelegation of duties that you had to do in make sure that each person is, puts him into his or her role. What about challenges? Were there challenges you had to face?
There were challenges. And the first and most noticeable challenge at that phase. But the fact is, I discovered that most of the staff that I met on ground, and then when I'm talking of most, I'm talking of something like about 60 to 75% of the staff were those that were not really brought in on the basis of identification of needs. Because in recruitment, I mean, you do a kind of assessment of needs in the organization. That okay, in this particular area, we need a cameraman. In that particular place, we need somebody that will be working on electronics and so on and so forth. But I discovered that people just came in. Quite a number came in on the basis of interview, and that was, I mean, based on need. But most others, just came in. Either somebody came in as somebody on IT, I mean, this what is it called, industrial trainee, and so on and so forth, or somebody came in as something like that, and of the person's skill. And eventually the person became a staff. So that posed a challenge. And they just say, okay, you go to that place, you go to that place. And somebody that comes into the system in that way will just, I mean, will be trying his hands or her hands on one thing or the other, not really grasping that thing. So that posed a challenge. But the Distance Learning Center itself, on knowing this, arranged trainees upon trainees, for staff. And the first and the basic training that staff had was for computer training. Because I can say that about 95, if not 99% of DLC staff are computer literate, sufficiently computer literate that they can, type on their own, send messages, and many now are buying into information technology devices. So that challenge, was resolved there. The other challenge also happens to be the nature of the duties in the Distance Learning Center. The nature is not structured. The nature of the duties is not clearly structured as such. Like when I was in the establishment division where I stayed for maybe about 7 or 8 years or so, or about 7 years. So, that place was structured because we could say, okay, on a daily basis, we will have an appointments and promotions committee meeting in faculty A, then the second day faculty B, and so on and so forth. But in Distance Learning Center, we address issues as they come. And it is because the people we deal with, our students, are spread all over the world. And they come up with different challenges every day. The challenge somebody may come with may be that of not finding his or her name on the portal, somebody having difficulties in paying, somebody having difficulties in registering, somebody whose results have been missing, and so on and so forth. So there are diverse areas. And nobody wants to wait, to know that, well, you have some other issues that you are contending with, so mine has to take the backstage. No, they want issues to be addressed as they are reported. So this created a challenge. So that we had to devise a way by which we have somebody who will be addressing the needs of the students as they come, and that's the student support unit. And lately, before I left, we created a complaints office where we have an officer manning that post. That every complaint that comes in will first, be reported to that officer. And it's that officer that you have to go through and say, okay, the one in this particular issue should go to the exams officer, the other one should go to the database officer, the next one should be maybe to the admissions officer, and so on and so forth. And shortly before I left, we were receiving less complaints, from students, less complaints than before. So all the challenges that to be able to face them. But one which we were still contending with by the time I was leaving was the fact that we had, large failure rates in some courses. And because of that, another challenge came up that what do we do with this large number of students that have failed? We can't, ask them to go away. So we had to devise a way to find other departments that such students could change to. And that issue, we were still trying to grapple with by the time I was leaving. So the challenges that came, God has given us, the enablement to be able to solve them to a reasonable extent so far.
All right, now you've actually talked about challenges. Now we would like to know what you gained individually and collectively with the Distance Learning Center. You've been there for 2 years. What are the things you have added to yourself and in the main to the Distance Learning Center collectively?
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, let me say, in my own case, in the area of, in the aspect of information technology, I believe that I have gained sufficiently. Then too, I have gained also about on the OGL issue, open distance learning. I think before I got there, I must confess, I, like many of my colleagues in the registry, knew little about the OGL. I must confess that. But when I got there, but when I knew that I would be going there, I started looking for, documents, literature that could tell me about OGL, what it really meant, and so on and so forth. And when I got there, and I was actually in the thick of the whole thing, then I was enjoying it. I cannot talk about OGL, and in fact, I'm even ready now to be a member of the Vanguard. Because we have a Vanguard, OGL Vanguard, and I'm going to enlist as an OGL Vanguard. It's very, very good. In fact, it is the thing that will take Nigeria to the next level. So that's something I have gained also. And I have gained also from my interactions with individuals in the center. It has given me a wider scope of assessing people. When I was in the establishment service as the establishment service of the university, I was assessing people on the basis of, yes, what are you doing, this and that, whether you are due for promotion or not. But now, I was assessing people that, in the DRC as somebody who has, the grace and enablement through the help of God to guide people to do the right thing. I was able to, discover that there were certain people in the DRC that were not, they were not able to express themselves because of the situation they found themselves at that particular point in time. Because when I got there, I saw that so many staff were those that were called ad hoc employees, because they were not either probationary or permanent staff of the university. So because of that, they were not really sure about their fate. Because today they could be told that maybe tomorrow your work will end and then that will be it. So they were not. But at the time, we came in, God, helped us with the assistance of the university administration, and we did. We give good. Great appreciation to the VC. Who decided that okay, all such ad hoc staff, should be interviewed, and those that were found appointable should be brought on board. And we were able to do that. And all the ad hoc staff in the DRC at that time, we assessed them, found them appointable, and they have been fully they've become probationary staff of the university. So that's give me that. I was able to know that when you help staff, when staff, are given the ability to express themselves, then they will be able to do great things for the institution. Then I was able also to meet people at a high level, because through that, my being at the Distance Learning Center, we had we traveled out once, when we went to Italy, and we made some connections, some of which I'm still benefiting from today, because I still connect with one or two of them, and I know that the person that is there now, will still be able to continue with such things.
All right. I would have liked to ask the question as to one aspect that you mentioned earlier, sir, as regards reshuffling students, so to say. Students now, when they're not performing well at this or in this particular department, then you have to sit down and find a way to look for another field where they can perform better. But then it's time for us to take a break, and then when we come back after the break, hopefully we would have the new deputy registrar with us in the studio, and would go ahead to ask that question for the benefit of our prospective students out there, because I know that some years ago some students actually had issues because they didn't perform very well. We'll take this break, and when we come back, the program DLC and You continues.
We are the future, we are the dream, we are the nation, we are part of this. Yes, we are so amazing, that's the least we shall be. At the heart of the nation, changing history. How can they say that we are finished? We have just begun, and we have nowhere else to run to. We have nowhere else to go. So get out of the way of the land of our dreams. We are the nation, we are part of this. We are the nation, we are part of this. Whoa, carry the song, carry the sound. The future is here, the future is here. Goodbye yesterday, tomorrow is now for a taking. The future is here, the future is here. I am the future, I am the future, I am the dream. Whoa, I am the nation, I am part of this day. Yes, I am so amazing, that's the least I shall be. The least I shall be. At the heart of the nation, changing history. How can they say that we are finished? We are just begun, when we have nowhere else to run. We are nowhere else to go. Nowhere else to go. Away out of the way of the land of my dreams. I am the nation, I am part of this. So get out of the way of the land of my dreams. I am the nation, I am part of this. Whoa, carry the song, carry the sound. The future is here, the future is here. Goodbye yesterday, tomorrow is now for the taking. The future is here, the future is here. Raise your hands in the air if you believe the future has come now. The future is here, the future is here. This is our dream. The future is here. The future has come.
Welcome back to the program. Is still DLC and you on Diamond 101.1 FM. On DLC and you today, so far we've been talking with the immediate past Deputy Registrar of the Distance Learning Center at University of Ibadan in person of Mr. A.A. Oladeji. And so far he has been sharing his wealth of experience with us. He has told us about several benefits that he has actually accrued being the Deputy Registrar of the Distance Learning Center. He also told us about the challenges, as few as they are, and how he was able to surmount those challenges. And he has also shared with us the experience that he has garnered being the Deputy Registrar. And yes, before we went on that break, we actually talked about an aspect for those who experienced it or knew about it. The 2006-2007 academic session was actually, for some people, a bad time because, some of us got in and were so glad, 100 level, oh, finally, this admission I've been chasing for years. Finally, I'm here within the four walls of a university, the premier university, as it is. And then some of us, crossing over to the next level, which was 200 level, became an uphill task. A lot of people were asked to leave that year. And earlier when Mr. Oladeji was talking, the Deputy Registrar, he actually mentioned the fact that at some point they had to sit down to find out, okay, this student is not performing well here. What can we do? Which other area can he or she perform better? We would like him to, share his experience with us out. So how easy was it to sit down and, shuffle students, so to say? This person is not performing well here. We need to take this person here, rather than just send the person away. How easy was it to
To add to that, sir, Priska mentioned 2006. Then we had 28 courses in 28 departments. Now we have this admission like 6 departments. How easy has it been trying to shuffle students? Those days, well, perhaps it would be a little easier or a lot easier because we have so many courses in the Faculty of Education where students could be moved to. But now it's reduced. What do you think? How far has it been? Or the challenge now, it gets a little serious the more. So how far have you gone about it, and what are we looking forward to?
Yes, thank you. Well, let me correct something. The 6 departments that you mentioned just now, will affect those people that will be coming in fresh with the advertisement that's on
right
now.
Yes.
The people that are affected, the students that are affected by the change and so on and so forth, which we call withdrawal, have to be those that are already on. From 200 level upwards. So what we've done actually was that we have to go through the O level, the basic qualifications of these students again, and then which departments. For instance, there are so many people that are affected by courses in economics, and then maybe psychology also. Especially economics. Economics happens to be the worst hit, and I think some students also in statistics. So we look at what is the nearest course that a student, for instance, like that, can still offer with the qualifications that person has, because the person must be basically qualified for the students in the new department he or she is going to move to. So a team has been set up in the center, that are now going through this, and I think that team is based in it cuts across the exams office, the records office, and then the database office, and I think it's being coordinated by the program and academic officer, if I'm right. So that is what they are doing right now, and they've been able to sort out quite a sizable number of students for them.
All right, that's a great one. Now, I want you to tell us more as regards your office being the deputy registrar. Now, there's no perfect being, no perfect management, so to speak. We strive at trying to make things perfect. Now, there were things you did while you were the deputy registrar at the Distance Learning Center that you feel, perhaps if I've done it this way, perhaps if I've done it that way, it has been better. Can you tell us some of those things that you did then that you have done another way if you were given the opportunity?
Well, really, I can't really remember what I did, which I feel I should have done another way. But I remember certain things which I would have loved to do, which I was not able to do.
I was going to go that.
Yes, and particularly it has to do with the issue of attitude. You know, I saw that in the Distance Learning Center, the issue of attitude is something that needs to be worked upon. And when I was, handing over to my successor, the new deputy registrar, I had on this, for him, that the issue of attitude is so important. Because while we have a number of students, a number of staff who are very, 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 very hardworking, there are so many of them that you cannot easily place what kind of work they are doing. And it is not because they don't have work they should do, but they are not proving their mettle at all. They are not. And it has to do with attitude. Their attitude, to the work, to the assignments given to them, their attitude, even to their colleagues. I had the mind that, maybe we will arrange a kind of seminar. And as a matter of fact, we had already discussed with the director, and we got in touch with the human resource consultant who had brought a proposal. But because the director had to travel out, we were not able to fine-tune arrangements on that until my redeployment came. But I discussed that with my successor, and I'm sure that they are going to work on it. So the issue of attitude is something that needs to work on. I really wanted to do something about that. I couldn't. Then there was the issue also of would I say now the issue of staff welfare. And when you are talking of staff welfare, the issue of promotion is something that touches the heart the most. Quite a number of our staff were on the receiving end in terms of this promotion issue. Because we had about 2 or 3 staff who are always very hardworking, very committed. But at the time we had our last promotion exercise, they were not beneficiaries of in the promotion exercise because of some regulations in the system, which I was unable to detect and identify at that time. If I was able to, I would have advised them that, this is the issue. So their minds had already been prepared that they too will be promoted alongside their colleagues. But when we got to the AMPA meeting, the officer from the establishment division had to draw attention to some issues, and they were affected. And such a thing could easily kill somebody's morale. But I thank God for them, because eventually they saw it and they have moved on with life. So these are 2 areas which I feel I really have loved to do something much better.
All right. For the benefit of prospective students out there, I'd still like to go back to the question I asked earlier, because some people who have experienced it before might want to discourage some other persons that come. Although it will actually go a long way to serve a very good benefit, because when you know that if you don't sit up and study hard, you might be asked to withdraw. Now, is there assurance that in the future students will not be asked to withdraw? Like you said, you just have to maybe advise such students to opt for another course in the university.
Well, I have the strong belief that from this moment onwards, there will be, a kind of deliberate efforts, to ensure that we don't record this large number of failure rates. And I think what the director told me when we last discussed was that, a unit will be in charge to check all this, particularly when anytime we have our Board of Examiners meeting. Because really, if we've been checking, like you said, right from the beginning, the accumulation of failure rates will not be this high. It will not be this high. So that if a student at a time is having challenges, it will be seen. And thank God that the staff that we are planning to recruit, we have counseling psychologists. And a counseling psychologist will be in a position to advise students that have challenges. And in the next few weeks, I think the core academic staff that have been interviewed are likely going to assume duty. When they come on board, they will have it as part of their work, to counsel, to advise all these students. Because the absence of somebody to counsel them, to advise them right from the beginning, has probably been responsible. Because some people have been picking courses which they shouldn't, which they didn't have ability for. They didn't have capability for. And that was why such failure rates have been recorded in the past.
Now, sir, let's talk about the issue of getting some things done in the distance learning center. You mentioned two things that you have loved to do, like the first, talking about the attitude of members and staff, and so you mentioned another issue,
Counseling and promotion.
the promotion thing and what have you. Now, there are other things that I'm sure that you are looking forward to also doing. Perhaps, have you actually spoken with your successor and passed them over, and what are we to perhaps look forward to seeing in some couple of months?
Well, I've discussed quite a number with him, and like I told him, that our discussions will be continuous. That I've told him that as I remember a particular issue, I will get in touch with him. I have his telephone numbers, he has mine, and we've exchanged their email addresses as well. So we'll be discussing continuously. And in fact, actually, it's a good friend of mine whom we relate together with, even before now. So there's no problem about that at all.
All right. I would like us to look at the aspect of ODL practice. Like you said earlier, that is a way forward for us in the country. But looking at the ODL as it's being practiced in the University of Ibadan and all over the world, comparing and contrasting, what would be your observations, sir?
Well, my observation, without being immodest, it is the University of Ibadan Distance Learning Center that is really practicing ODL as it should be. I want to draw attention to something that's happened recently. Well, now, as we all know, it's either the name of a person, the name of a town, or a thing. But now means National Open University of Nigeria or something like that. But to all intents and purposes, this should be the institution that should be practicing ODL as it should be practiced. But there was a report in the Sahara Reporters recently, I think about a week ago or so, where, there was an open letter written by the students' body of that institution, and they started saying different things. And the summary is that old man was not practicing
ODL as it should be.
And it's what so many people knew already, but they themselves, I believe that they don't want to accept. But they have now been told, because, what we have in the Distance Learning Center UI, which is so different, is that we don't have study centers. We don't have weekend, meetings for students, classes or whatever. But our lecturers, that we call facilitators, have been sufficiently assisted to interact with their students online. And when we discovered that the bulk of facilitators that we've been using, who are full-time employees and lecturers in the University of Ibadan, didn't have so much time, we had to employ those that we call academic advisors, 2 of who came last week, on this program. They are the ones that are relating with students continuously on a regular basis. The students have been divided among these academic advisors. And happily, it's from within the crop of these academic advisors that we will now be picking our permanent lecturers, who will be full-time employees of the university and who have 100% time and attention for the DLC work. So that one is there. And then the Distance Learning Center also ensures that there are 2 periods of interactive session. At the commencement of the session, when there will be an introductory interactive session, and then later, when there will be about 2-week revision exercise. So with this, students have been made to know, and we let our students know that none of them can succeed reasonably unless they are computer literate and then they are IT compliant, because they should not be expecting, that they will be meeting as lecturers somewhere and so on and so forth. At the point when we got to know that some people were, fronting as lecturers, that there will be pasting notices about that they could meet them at so place for lectures and so on and so forth. We sent out our own team, who disbanded such groups. And as at now, I don't think there is any corner anywhere that somebody will say, okay, there's a student should meet me for anything. And our own lecturers in UI that are facilitating with the DLC know that if any of them should sell a handout, to any student, it's a disciplinary issue. So they won't dare do it. So that all this has now, drawn it into the ears of our students that all they have to do now is to be friends with their computer, with IT devices. And happily, the DLC is coming on board with what we call tablets.
Tablets, yes.
And that tablet is the thing that will ease every kind of problem that they might have been having before. Because anywhere they are, they will have all their lecture notes there, and then they can read at their own convenience, and then get in touch, with our lecturers or facilitators later.
Time is fast spent, and we've actually dwelt on the Distance Learning Center of the University of Ibadan. Now let us go to your new office.
Okay.
It is now your new office in the past 9 days.
Okay.
So tell us, what are the things that you are moving up from the DLC center that you feel would be suitable there as well, that you would add to them there when you get to the PG school, rather now that you're at the PG school?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, one thing that I have learned to do all my life is to give my all to any system that I work with or I work for. All through my career, even right from when I was in the College of Medicine till I moved to the General Administration Division of the Registry and then later the establishments, I had given all my time, all my energy, into the service. And commitment, loyalty, and dedication had always been my watchword. I gave all this, when I was in GLC, and I'm importing this also to the PG school. And I thank God that I have met on ground a crop of equally, if not more, dedicated, management. Particularly the outgoing dean of the PG school, Professor Abel Lauren Inshallah. Is somebody I've known for so many years, and so committed, so dedicated. In fact, the first time I interacted with him, he gave me a book, that will give me a kind of lowdown of the operations and activities of the PG school, which I've read, in addition to the handover notes of my predecessor in the office, Mr. Musa. And I must say that, the time, the only difference I can see in the two units is that the staff in the in the PG school are much more experienced, and because many of them have moved within different units of the university, unlike in the DLC, in the DLC you have staff who have been there most of their life. They've not moved out. In fact, the first time I think staff employed directly by the DLC will move out of that center was just about a month or two ago, when about 4 staff were redeployed to the main campus, because all staff everywhere now are University of Ibadan staff. So this is something that is going to help me, and I can see that there is also a kind of family, family spirit in the PG school, just like we had in the DLC. DLC had that one. If somebody gave birth to a child, the thing would be on the internet, within the that everybody, please congratulate or rejoice with them and so on and so forth. I mean, the communication officer is somebody that's very good in doing this. And if there is any issue, I mean, that spirit, I mean, it's something that I'm sure it will be in the PG school too. But if I say I'm going to miss anything, I will miss that. You miss that.
All right, sir. Before we go, we should not forget the aspect that there is the postgraduate program also. We have some postgraduate programs domiciled in the PG school, practice in the ODL mode. Okay. Considering the fact that you have been with the DLC for some time now, would you say that you could influence what happens with the PG DLC mode over there?
Well, when we talk of influence, we can influence within the confines of the regulation of the PG school and the university as a whole. But as much as possible, I will give all necessary support, towards ensuring the success of the DLC PG programs.
Okay.
All right, we have to draw curtains on the program today. We're saying thank you so much for coming around, sir, on the program today. Once again, we appreciate your coming, and we are quite hopeful and very optimistic that your new office will be to great influence to the Distance Learning Center, or students, or the prospective PG students, and to every member of staff of the postgraduate school. Thank you so much for coming, sir.
I'm very grateful for giving me this time to hear my views, and I appreciate that you have taken me as I am, and next time if I'm given the opportunity, I hope I will still be able to come around. Thank you very much.
All right, that is the voice. That was the voice of Mr. E.A. Oladeji, now the Deputy Registrar, Postgraduate School, University of Ibadan. But before now, it was the Deputy Registrar, Distance Learning Center of the University of Ibadan. We are saying thanks to the DCA for coming around, and just some couple of minutes ago we have the arrival of the new Deputy Registrar. We're sure he's been quite busy, and he made it out time for us on the program today. You're welcome on the program, DLC. Thank you.
That's the voice of Mr. Emi Adewumi, the new Deputy Registrar of the DLC. Thank you for coming on the program. So although you came late, like you said, for sure you're very busy with so many things.
We were at a meeting together this morning.
Yes.
I had to move to another one.
All right, sir. Okay, we'll be looking forward to hosting you sometime very soon on the program. I hope you'll oblige us.
No problem.
All right, that was the voice of the new Deputy Registrar, and well, hopefully we'll have him on the program in some days, quite soon, and well, he'll make out time for us. We're saying thanks to you for being part of the program today. DLC, and you remember, is sponsored by the Distance Learning Center of the University of Ibadan, and we're saying thanks majorly to the producer of the program, in person of Mr. Kule Ladipo, for a job well done. He's the communications officer, DLC, the University of Ibadan. Until next week, we'll come your way to the hour of 11 and 12 I remain yours sincerely, Adedotun Amosun. Remember, if your parents couldn't give you the right legacy, which is education, it's high time you give yourself. So come and join the students of the University of Ibadan under the distance learning mode.
Well, do not forget that to study hard is for your own benefit. The fact that you're a DLC student does not limit you in any way. You might have so many responsibilities as a manager in a certain institution or organization, and you might also be a father or a mother. But remember, you can make it. My name is Priska Bamba. Have a great day.
That was DLC and you, and as guests of the program this day, we had the immediate past Deputy Registrar of the Distance Learning Center as guest, and of course is now the DR, that's the Deputy Registrar and Secretary to the Postgraduate School, University of Ibadan, talking about Mr. Oladejo. For a fresh edition of the program DLC and you, join Dotson and Priska at 11 o'clock next Wednesday. You're listening to Diamond 101.9 FM. Very shortly, we'll bring you our next program, Staff of the Week. Stay tuned.
Every day we dey making money, pay me my money, don't tell me stories. Them want know how we dey take it away. Them don't know me and I now you know this is still we dey bubble. Our fresh ass we dey hustle. Me and I now you know this is still we dey bubble. Our fresh ass we dey hustle. We dey flex, we dey pop champagne. Every day we everywhere I spread it like water. See, them see me from mainland, very land to island. Oh, I promise that I know it, so that I won't want you party. Every day we dey making money, pay me my money, don't tell me stories. Them want know how we dey take it away. Them don't know me and I now you know this is still we dey bubble. Our fresh ass we dey hustle. Me and I now you know this is still we dey bubble. Our fresh ass we dey hustle. We dey flex, we dey pop champagne. Every day we Oh,
Hello, Ibadan. My name is Chidima.
Hi, this is M.I., Mr. Incredible.
Yes, this is JJC. What up, peeps? It's your man Vector the Viper, aka VEC.
This is your girl, Yetunde Omobat.
It's your boy Zero. It's Ajino Biggest.
And you're listening to
Diamond FM.
Diamond FM.
Diamond FM.
Diamond FM.
Diamond FM. Diamond 101.1 FM.
Don't touch it. Keep listening.
This is UI Radio, Diamond 101.1 FM.